In light of the recent Chinese doping scandal, how can we make sure that the Olympics are fair for everyone, and how can we extend this to all competitive sports effectively?
Tracey.
Over to you.
Yeah. Fairness is kind of an interesting concept, isn't it? But I guess the only way you can do it is to actually have faith in the systems that have been put in place. At the moment, when we're talking about doping, we know there's the recent scandal with the Chinese doping. There is so much to that story that we don't know yet. And again, there's been a lot of very selective reporting on the way that story was done. It's very easy if you're talking about Chinese to just say, well, they're all guilty because they've done it before. And yet whenever any of our athletes test positive, they're all innocent because, of course, why would we cheat?
But so again, our athletes usually stood down, it's publicly known. There has been something different about what's happened here.
There has been something different about this, and if you look at the facts that WADA has put forward, and that is being investigated now, there's an independent investigator that is looking at the way this case was handled. What was different about this was that when WADA was alerted by the Chinese anti-doping authority that 23 athletes had tested positive all in one hotel, and the positive tests were random. They were all over the place. They were positive one day, negative the next, positive again the next day. It was what looked like was consistent with a contamination event, which is what, with the difficulties of COVID at the time, people not being able to go into the country at the time, there were all of these other complicating factors. But WADA asked for the case file. That's the World Anti-Doping Body. They went through it with as fine a tooth comb as they could find, given the situation at the time. They spoke to other experts. They took legal advice, anti-doping legal experts. All of them looked at it and said, even if you decided to challenge this in a court of arbitration for sport, you would have less than 1% chance of winning because there is no evidence to support anything other than the finding they came up with. And so the difference being, of course, lots of people have raised athletes like Shayna Jack.
Yeah.
And I've also, you know, all the way through thought Shayna Jack was very hard done by, but hers was a different circumstance. She had taken a supplement which they believe was contaminated. OK, these Chinese swimmers weren't taking supplements, it was contamination in a random event at the hotel. And so there are different scenarios there that haven't been pulled apart.
Brief answer on this, because I want to get to our next question. But Bridget McKenzie, do you think it's an even playing field? Our athletes are right to go and
the glory of that gold medal at an Olympic or a World Championship is everything, and our athletes, like athletes around the world, train their whole life for that opportunity. And you know, when you listen to our athletes that swam in that games, and the heartbreak and the anger. They're prepared to lose, but they want to lose to the best, not to the drugged. And I think that is the great tragedy if you can't have faith in the institutions. Tracey makes a good point about China v. the world. When I was Sports Minister, RUSADA, the Russian Union Anti-Doping Association, there was a big case before WADA then, and listening to international athletes speaking in very similar ways about needing the system to have integrity was important. I love sport, and we're a nation that loves sport, and we need to make sure that we lead the world in a lot of these things. So Sport Integrity Australia and ASADA sort of led the world in integrity matters domestically, and we need to make sure we're at the forefront of the international conversation going forward. And
can I just say that, you know, our athletes train incredibly hard to win their gold medals. So do athletes in every country in the world. And you might not know this, but at the moment there are 23 Australians serving anti-doping suspensions right now. OK, so we don't talk about them. We probably can't name any of them. But there are 23 serving suspensions at the moment through Sport Integrity Australia. So it's not just everybody else that cheats, OK?
Although we're the best and we should win the most gold medals.